Good morning, or depending on when you're watching this, good afternoon, good evening, or good night. My name's Ross, and as always told, out of Voice Radio. So today, we're going to be looking at a new Forretress card. That's right, ladies and gentlemen. It's usually interesting when this dude comes back around. And there's often a little bit of spreading damage here, there, and everywhere. This is no different. Now, it is one of the last cards we're going to be looking at from Sun and Moon 8 Super Burst Impact over in Japan. One of the last cards that's going to be in Lost Thunder that we're going to need to profile. What that means is, of course, that by the time Lost Thunder comes out, and by that I mean a couple of days' time, and Lost Thunder's out in about 2 months, you are going to be able to search on this channel and find any card profile you want. So if there's ever a card from Lost Thunder and you're thinking, hang on a second, Wassy, what does that do? Search on the channel, you'll be able to find it. So Forretress then, it is a metal Pokemon, which means you've got stuff like Mount Coronet in order to get your energy back, if you feel so inclined. It means you can use Delmise to do a little bit of extra damage to the active Pokemon, if you feel so inclined. It means you're hitting weakness against fairy Pokemon like Gardevoir. Whether you want to or not, to be honest, you have no choice. You're going to be hitting for weakness. Now, it also means you are going to be weak to fire, which isn't really a huge problem. Fire at the moment, you got like Turtonator and Ho-Oh that will easily one-hit KO you. And then you got stuff like Moltres, which isn't going to be that close even with weakness. It's not the worst weakness to have. Resistance to Psychic is very nice because stuff like Garbodor will take longer to KO you. Retreat cost of 2 is a bit rubbish. And 110 HP is slightly low for a stage 1. Because, you know, Tapu Koko's got that much HP and that's a basic. And he's got free retreat. You know, my boy Donphan's coming out here rocking a solid 130. 110 kind of sucks. Plus it means you're in range of stuff like Zoroark and Golisopod, which is far from ideal. But really, it's the attacks we're worried about here. Now, if you hadn't guessed by now, this has been revealed on the official Japanese website in Japan. Pokemon website, of course. And translated by the lovely David Hochmann. He's our favourite. So what does the attack do? Well, the first attack for a single metal energy, which is very cheap. Flip 3 coins. This attack does 10 damage to each of your opponent's Pokemon for each heads that you flip. Do not apply weakness or resistance for bench Pokemon, but you do to the active. This is nice. Now, it's flippy. Oh, my goodness, it's flippy. But that doesn't mean it ain't quite nice. Now, you can, of course, use Victini in order to try and make sure you get as many heads as possible here. And with a Victini, you should usually hit 2 heads, which is not bad. 20 damage to each of your opponent's Pokemon. What makes this better than Tapu Koko, though? Because Tapu Koko can do 20 damage to all of your opponent's Pokemon, and there's no flipping, it's just a straight 20. And it's a basic. And it's got free retreat. And it's got as much HP despite being a basic. Well, the thing is, this is for one basic energy, not for a double colourless. Firstly, double colourless, you can only put 4 in your deck. It's not going to be the easiest thing to find. Secondly, with special charge rotating out, we now have no way to recover double colourless energy, unless you use something like an Orangaroo and use your attack for the turn to get it into your deck, and then go about searching it somehow later on. And to be honest with you, metal decks at the moment are likely to be playing stuff like Solgaleo Prism Star, which accelerates basic energy from the deck. Or maybe Magnezone, which accelerates basic energy from your hand. Metal decks are playing basic energy. They ain't playing none of this double colourless rubbish. So you know what? It's good for them. And honestly, you can hit a different weakness in the active. So if you find yourself against something like a Gardevoir here, fine, you're not going to be getting a one-hit KO. But time you whack a choice band on there, flip 2 heads, you're hitting 100 damage with weakness. That's pretty good. Plus, of course, you're spreading damage to your opponent's bench as well. And actually, let's not forget that Tapu Koko is weak to Buzzwole, which sucks. You ain't weak to no Buzzwole. So actually, better weakness as well. And this is very much like Tapu Koko. You can spread this damage around, and hopefully you're going to be able to survive long enough to get a bunch of damage on the field. You could combine it nicely with something like a Latios or even a Tapu Koko, although at that point you would have to play double colourless energy, making a mockery of what I just said a moment ago. Or you could combine it with something like Honchkrow, for argument's sake, which for, again, a double colourless energy, making more of a mockery of what I said a moment ago, 10 damage plus 10 more for each damage counter on all of your opponent's Pokemon. Well, if Latios want to double colourless, and Tapu Koko want to double colourless, and Honchkrow want to double colourless, why not just play basic metal energy? And then just play a spread deck? Because then you're hitting weakness on Darkness weak Pokemon with Honchkrow, Psychic weak Pokemon with Latios, Lightning weak Pokemon with Tapu Koko, and Metal weak Pokemon with Forretress here. And then, of course, don't forget we've got Tapu Lele, and we finally have the Psychic Tapu Lele here. Actually came out like 3-4 months ago, but we have it now, which allows you to rearrange all the damage counters on your opponent's side of the field. Might I remind you about counter energy at this point, because spread decks will usually be behind a turn or two. Or maybe even, if you go the Honchkrow route, what about the Chandelure, which is going to be coming out in Lost Thunder as well? The Chandelure rocks. It does 20 damage for each damage counter on all of your opponent's Pokemon in play. So if you've got 10 damage counters on all of your opponent's Pokemon combined, you do 200 damage to the active. And again, that would work with a counter energy. Especially with the fact that it's a flippy attack, I don't know if I can really sit here and tell you that it's better than Tapu Koko or better than Latios. You can make an argument, but it is just an argument. I don't know if we can say it definitively. But I don't see a need to choose here. I see a spread deck forming with Tapu Koko and Latios and this, and then we got stuff like Honchkrow and Tapu Lele to come in when you spread a bunch of damage around. That could be fun. And there is a second attack here as well. What it does for 2 metal, 1 colourless energy, Lost Bomber, 190 damage, put this Pokemon and all cards attached to it into the Lost Zone. So it's basically a giant one-hit KO attack, but you also KO yourself. I'm 99% sure here that this does count as KOing Forretress, so you would be giving up a prize here. But of course, it does 190 damage. So if you're giving up a prize, you should be taking 2 prizes. To be honest, if you're not taking 2 prizes with Forretress, what are you doing here? The answer is, if you've got 1 prize left to take and your opponent's got more than 1 prize left to take, then this is a good use for this as well. But generally speaking, you should be KOing a GX here, taking 2 prizes, while your opponent doesn't. And 190 damage should most of the time be enough. It's a straight KO on Buzzwole, on Rayquaza, on Tapu Lele, etc. You are not quite getting stuff like Lycanroc, but you can always play a Shrine of Punishment to do that extra 10 damage. As a quick ruling side note, if you are in time and your turn free, Shrine of Punishment won't work, because your turn free, after your turn the game ends, there is no turn of Shrine of Punishment. It's exactly like Poison that way, something to bear in mind if you're relying on that. Or you can whack a Choice Band on then, you're up to 220. And that'll be getting stuff like Zoroark. And then you'll have the odd Pokemon like Greninja, which is a little bit higher, and that's where you have to bring in Choice Band and Shrine of Punishment. It's not bad here. I mean, it still won't get some Pokemon like Metagross, but you will still be putting yourself in the Lost Zone and giving your opponent a prize. You can't have everything. This is kind of a Hail Mary attack, but actually I quite like it. If you're playing a deck with Solgaleo Prism Star or a deck with Magnezone, for instance, well, a lot of the time you're going to put 3 energy on a Duskmane Necrozma. Oh, no, wait. 4 energy on a Duskmane Necrozma, then discarding 3 of them to get a GX KO. Well, here you're putting 3 energy on this and then Lost Zoning it. And you've got the spreading attack as well. I think the first attack could be very nice when combined with these other damage spreading Pokemon. I think the second attack is a nice Hail Mary, but I don't know if there's many metal decks that would want to play this for the second attack. Not when we've got other big Pokemon as well. I could be wrong, and certainly it's a good attack. It does a lot of damage. But I'm not sure it's better than a lot of the alternatives. The thing that makes me most excited about Forretress here is the idea of making a spread deck using this and the other spreading Pokemon we talked about in this video. I'm going to be giving it between 2 and 3 Wassies. We don't give half Wassies. That would, of course, be barbaric. I like it. I think there's a bit of potential, but I don't know if it's better than the alternatives. But seriously, have a go with this spread deck. It could be fun. And tell me what you think about this spread deck or any other aspect of Forretress, or just say hello and tell me what your first pet was called in the comments section. Go nuts, but remember the rule, ladies and gentlemen. Do be nice. Make sure you like this video, subscribe to this channel, follow me on Twitter at TheWassy, and Twitch for some live action at twitch.tv/PTCGRadio. If you want to support the channel, get some bonus podcasts and all of that, head on over to patreon.com/PTCGRadio, where you can do exactly that. But by far the most important thing, as always, is to look after yourselves until next time. Thank you very much for watching. My name's Ross, and you've been watching PTCG Radio.